Hi, I'm Teena Clipston with CruiserTV, and today we're on Aphrodite, and we're going to be speaking about cruising with kids.
Hi. Hi.
This episode is sponsored by Mantus Anchors. Mantus sets on first try every single time.
We know there must be more to this. We said that love could conquer anything. Well, now's the chance to give these words their meaning. Here's the chance to give these words some meaning.
If you're thinking about going cruising with kids, this episode is for you. Join me and the Escher family aboard their cat, Aphrodite, in Newport in the Dominican Republic. As well, we have special guest cruisers and moms, Amy with kid tips from sailing vessel Terrapin, and Behin with Sailing Totem, co-author of Voyaging with Kids. And that's not all. I'm very excited to announce CruiserTV welcomes a new monthly segment with Bob Bitchin from Cruising Outpost magazine. Bob's going to let us know about some upcoming boat shows, a great start for finding the right boat for you and your family. Stay tuned. I'm sitting here with Rick and Lorraine Escher on their catamaran Aphrodite, and they're getting ready, or started out already, to do a circumnavigation with their 4 children. But first, before we get started about the children, that's what I really want to talk about. Tell me a bit about the boat itself and how that suits your family, being 6 of you on here.
Well, it's a St. Francis 50 catamaran. We have hull number 1. It was named Aphrodite at the factory, and when we bought the boat, we decided to name it back to Aphrodite.
Okay.
4 cabins and 4 heads. We wanted the space.
So you've got a big boat here.
It's a big boat.
Yeah. Okay.
There's enough private space for the kids, so
Right.
we could have a kid working in the nav station, a kid working in the cockpit, a kid working in the saloon, and a kid working at the desk down in one of the halls, in theory. So private spaces for the kids to do their schoolwork.
Now tell me, Lorraine, about the kids. You've got 4, and you've got a couple of twins, right?
That's right, yeah. Betty is our oldest, and she is 10. We have Paul, who's 8, and Henry and Karen, they're 5-year-old twins.
Okay. You're a twin, right? Who's your twin? Tell me about your daily routine with the 4 kids. You must spend a lot of time preparing meals, and what's a regular daily routine look like?
It's a juggling act because we balance school with, like you said, eating and other maintenance on the boat. And I do laundry as well.
Lorraine, tell me, how much laundry do you have to do all the time with these 4 kids on board?
I probably do an hour and a half every couple of days of laundry. There's just as much laundry as there is on land. We try to wear our clothes 2 or 3 times, but it never seems to work out that way. My kids like to wear lots of clothes.
And I see you're hand washing everything, so that's a big job.
Yes, we considered getting a machine on board, but I think that's something else to fix, and it only handles a small amount of laundry, and we have a lot to do. It's like me washing my underwear.
So 3 days a week our children go to Spanish classes, but on the other days we tend to wake up in the morning, we have breakfast, and then we begin homeschooling, and I teach the children English. Studied English in university, and my husband Rick teaches the kids math, and we do a lot of hands-on activities on the boat to expose them to things like wiring, or you saw this morning somebody was filling the tanks with gas, and they're all really good activities for the kids to be doing to gain independence. So when we're not sailing, we try to prioritize schooling as an important activity. So it's not that we're replacing formal schooling with teaching a child to put oil in a boat. It's sort of an added benefit to be able to do those kind of tasks. But we're doing a classical education with the focus being on math and English right now.
Right. And you said you were sending them off to Spanish lessons. You're in Lupron right now, Dominican Republic.
Yes.
Have you done that in other locations as well?
Well, right now we've just traveled from Tampa, Florida. We're from Ottawa, Canada, but we've traveled from Tampa, Florida through the Bahamas, which was English speaking,
Right.
and then to Luperon. My kids both have experience speaking French because we are from Canada, but this is the first time we've been in a country whose main language is Spanish.
Okay, so that's great exposure for them.
Yeah.
What'd you learn today?
I learned how to conjugate ER verbs.
Very good. Rick, can you tell me what is the main difference about raising children on a boat compared to on land?
The major change is safety.
Yes, of course.
So that's top of mind
Yeah, and
every second of every day.
that
So
was one of my questions. What kind of safety procedures do you have on the boat to make sure that they're not falling overboard?
well, many. We're trying to drill safety into the kids. So
Right.
they are not supposed to leave the cockpit area here without putting a life jacket on, especially the younger twins. Separate from that, though, we're working to make sure that they can all swim well.
Right.
And their swimming has obviously improved a lot since we've been on the boat.
Right.
So outside of the cockpit, they're wearing life jackets. In the dinghy, they're wearing life jackets. When we're sailing, the older kids wear life jackets with tethers, so they're
Okay.
tethered to the boat.
Okay.
The younger twins are in climbing harnesses,
Right.
and they're tethered to the boat.
Okay.
So that's.
And if you have any bad conditions, do you send them in, or how does that work?
They're inside, and there
Inside.
have been times when we send them inside the saloon and we lock the door, so
Right.
we know that Lorraine and I can deal with conditions on the boat,
Okay.
and we know they're inside.
Okay.
Although that will become more difficult because they've since learned they can climb out the hatches.
Oh. I guess
So
sometimes
they just have to.
Yeah.
They're gaining an appreciation for the safety factor.
Okay.
And we always put our swim ladders down at the back of
Okay.
the back of the
I see
boat.
that.
Always. And we inform guests who stay aboard that we've got the swim ladders down. And we also have safety rings at the side of our boat, and of course a man overboard module, which we hope never ever be used.
Yeah. Okay. And tell me, why did you choose this alternate lifestyle? What made you pack up and buy the boat?
We wanted to change from our daily routine, and Rick suggested sailing as an opportunity, and I just thought that I don't want to get old and think that was something that I passed up.
Yeah.
I'd always wonder what it was like, and
Yeah.
so I kind of felt like that was something that we had to do.
And what about the circumnavigation? Why not just sail to the Bahamas and live off the hook? Why around the world?
Well, we haven't completely committed to around the world.
Right.
We're going to sail through the Caribbean, and we're planning Cartagena next summer and fall,
Okay.
and Sandglass Islands in Panama, and we'll see how
We'll
it
see
goes.
if you go through the Panama
See how
Canal.
it But our thinking is we would like to circumnavigate.
You'd like to do it, but
Why
you'll see how it
start
goes.
and not complete it?
Right. Yeah.
I'd like to see the world. I'd like to see the world through our children's eyes.
Yes. And how do you think that benefits the children, seeing different cultures and seeing different places?
Well, we're learning about the history of the Dominican Republic
Right.
right now, and here we are in the Dominican Republic.
Yes.
We've anchored our boat where Columbus anchored his boat, and our children play Columbus when they play with their Lego. So they're discovering Columbus. So it's not a dry history lesson in any sense, and they're meeting new people and seeing new foods and trying new foods.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and one of your children has allergies. How are you dealing with that? And the medical supplies that you need and all of that?
Yeah, well, we eat mainly on board, especially in Newport. We have to be so careful because the main language is Spanish, and it's important to us to communicate exactly what Paul is allergic to.
Right.
We carry 10 EpiPens aboard. We also have antihistamines, and we have Ventolin aboard as well to help with
So did you
breathing.
buy all this medical stuff from Canada before you left?
Yeah, we have an entire suitcase of first aid gear covering wounds and burn care kits. We have unusual things like nasal passageway openers, and we also have a storehouse of antibiotics on board that we haven't had to dip into since we arrived.
There's two parts to the medical.
Right, yeah.
One is all the prescription medicine and drugs that we knew we needed to bring.
Right.
So all of that was arranged in Canada. But after we left Canada and we were either in Tampa or in Florida, Lorraine started all the research into what was necessary for a ship's medical kit.
So like an emergency
Yeah.
kit for everything that could go wrong.
And so that took Lorraine several weeks of research and emailing with various doctors to refine what would go in the ship's medical kit. But it was a lot of research to assemble that medical kit.
And what about special skills before you started this dream? You had some sailing experience before?
Yeah, I started sailing 30 years ago.
Right, yeah.
Because I was fortunate to go to a university that offered sailing as an elective.
Okay.
So I took an elective of sailing, and then I sailed other people's boats every 5 years maybe after that. So just to keep a little bit of sailing going.
Yeah.
And then last year I went and renewed one of my certificates in Antigua, which was the RYA program. And Lorraine also, who hadn't done sailing, Lorraine went last year to Antigua as well, separate from me. And Lorraine did her part of the RYA course, the competent crew course. So that was it.
What kind of advice do you have for other families thinking about taking off and sailing away?
Just do it.
Just
go.
it? Yeah.
You can't beat it.
You can't beat it.
There's Molly Fenn, and she's, that's probably good, Molly. Molly is just lowering the anchor here. We just dropped anchor in Edgartown. It's just beautiful, and you can see that Molly is wearing a new spin-lock deck vest, and these are brand new for us. I really like them because they make two colors, a blue one and a pink one. Blue for boys, pink for girls, and they're nice to wear, right, Molly?
Lightweight.
Comfortable. And one nice thing is, Molly, show the D-ring. You can see that it's got a D-ring here, and this is very nice because it actually, you can hook a harness right on there, or not a harness, but a tether. So it's built-in tether. It's self-inflating, and they're brand new for us. But now, when they're on the boat and on deck, they have their spin-lock deck vest on, and very nice.
And they have 3 different types. Like, if you fall into the water, if you get to a certain depth, it will self-inflate. And if you have used that, like, you have to replace the
CO2 cartridge.
The CO2, yeah, that. So you have to replace that. But if you hadn't replaced it yet, you also have a self-inflate, where if you pull this handle, it'll inflate by itself. If you pull that, and then on the inside, if you unzip it, I'll unzip it a little bit. You can see this is the if you blow on this little tube part here, you can just blow this up when you're in the water. So you have 3 different types if like 2 of them aren't working or something like that.
Yeah, so you have backup.
Exactly.
Yep, excellent job. And Molly, thanks so much for that little narration for the spin lock deck vest, and good job on the anchor.
Thanks.
We were talking earlier about safety and different things you could do for the kids to train them and be aware. And was there a story you can tell me, an interesting story about what you did to prepare the children?
Well, we have self-inflating life jackets, and we let them go in the water to see what it was like, and it's quite strong. The force is very strong, but we wanted them to be aware. And apparently, you get in the water and you just have enough time to think, why is my life jacket not opening? And bang, it'll open. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did that happen? Did they jump in the water? And,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was suggested to us to actually knock a child in the water, just to see how they would react, and that it wasn't the end of the world for that child.
Right.
But I didn't take that advice.
That's good. But they jump off the boat and go swimming in nice anchorages, do they not?
Oh, they do.
Yeah. So
yeah, we can't get them out of the water actually.
Okay.
They're swimming twice a day when we were in the Bahamas.
We bought 9 of those 4-foot length pool noodles.
Okay. Yeah.
And cut them into short segments and threaded them through a line.
Okay.
So when we're at Anchorage and the kids are swimming, we have this ring of pool noodles.
Also kind of like a guard rail.
Yeah, and it keeps them contained because there's often a current.
Right.
And the current is always going away from the boat.
Right.
So it keeps them from drifting too far away.
Okay.
And then having to suddenly find they need to swim back against the current or against the waves or against the wind to get back to the boat. So that keeps them contained.
Okay.
And we put the life rings on the side of the boat. And we were practicing throwing them into the water to make sure that we could throw them far enough.
Right. Oh yeah.
And next thing we knew, Karen was swimming off to one of the life rings.
Oh
So it got tested.
It was tested and it worked. It was fine.
Yeah.
And where was this? Which waterway did you do this in? Obviously, it was a nice little place.
I think we were in somewhere near Tampa when we did the test.
What other interesting stories have you had with the children on board?
Well, back in December, I was going up the mast a lot. So the kids wanted to try it. So we clipped them into their harness and lifted them a few feet off the ground. But
Karen told me it was her favorite thing.
Karen, who's 5, wanted to go higher and higher and higher. And we let her go as high as the first spreader, but that was high enough for us.
She really enjoyed it. And the other ones, did they get to go up too?
Yeah, they did, but it was definitely, I don't think anybody went as high as
Karen. She liked it.
Yeah.
That's something you would be surprised about. I wanted to keep going.
Also my favorite thing is riding up the mast. It's not climbing.
Riding up the mast, that sounds like so much fun. So they're not missing anything by living on a boat. In fact, their life, I think, is improved. It's, they have got more chances to learn different things. Would you agree?
No, I wouldn't. And there is an element that would be missing. It's socializing with friends.
Oh yeah.
It's a little different than on land. You're biting
your lips. But I did notice you took them to baseball the other day, and they got to do a little socializing there.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think if you talk to Betty, though, she would say that was one thing she missed, was seeing friends every single day.
Right, at school.
So when we do get together with other cruisers with children, we make those, and the other family works the same way, because people with children are few and far between the anchorages.
Right.
So when you see another boat with a child, there's a real opportunity for a sleepover and a movie and yeah.
That's fantastic. Do you find a lot of other families sailing around with children?
In Georgetown in the Bahamas, there were
Right.
lots of families with children, and in this anchorage, we are the only family with
Right.
Well, there was
traveling
one
with
other
children.
boat here for about a week
Right,
with kids. So they spend a lot of time with that boat.
Right.
And we hope to meet up with them again because they're going to be traveling up the islands,
Right.
And we're going to be traveling down. So I'm sure we'll arrange something where we can get together.
Okay, great. Oh wait, we have to talk about one more thing.
Sure. Sorry, I'm so
What is the hardest thing for you raising children on board? Now I've been with these folks for a few days, so I know what it is.
What do you mean?
What is the hardest thing?
Squabbling, the bickering on a 50-foot boat. It may look like it's a big boat, but when there are 4 children arguing, it's a nice opportunity to exit the boat.
Yeah.
And do something on land. Great things.
And of course they quabble just like they would be on land. There's a little bit of screaming and hair pulling and all that stuff. So
yeah. It's not something that started on the boat.
All right, and the best thing. What is the best thing when you just, at the end of the day, you look at your life and go, that was a fantastic day with the kids? Don't pause too long, Lorraine.
Well, you just have to watch Paul driving the dinghy.
Oh my God, yeah.
And think, he's got a lot of confidence and he's taking responsibility for everybody on the boat. And he really does take the responsibility seriously.
Yes, he does. Paul, how long have you been driving this boat?
A month or two.
A month or two?
This good?
And he's a great helper. He's already learning about everything on this boat. You're teaching him. And I was quite impressed by his dinghy skills. He drives better than me, actually. He's 8 years old.
And we say Paul, but Betty can drive the dinghy as well as Paul. He just seems to do it more often.
Oh, okay. Betty too, yeah.
I wanted to pick one kid to drive the dinghy initially, and then once that person could successfully manage the dinghy, then I was going to teach the other.
Right.
And Paul just happened to be first, and Betty was second. So that's why you've seen Paul doing all the driving. But,
yeah, and I've seen him lift the dinghy and help you with some repairs. You were fixing toilets, and I guess you have to fix everything at least twice. Marbles in the toilets. Lego in the toilets.
It's nice to watch the sunsets too. Sometimes.
Oh, here's one right here. Henry, would you like to come say hi?
Yeah.
Come over here.
Come here.
Wait.
Just come over here and look in the camera and say hello.
Hello.
Thanks, Henry.
Okay.
One other thing we do that's kind of unique on the boat is in the evenings you can go and lie on the trampoline and watch the stars.
Oh yeah.
And it's usually quite dark in the anchorages, so there's not a lot of light pollution coming from shore.
Right.
And inevitably you're able to see the shooting stars, and you can see satellites going overhead and so on, which is more difficult to do in the city.
Our kids have swam with a dolphin as well.
Yes.
And that was
I heard that. Betty told me about it.
Yeah.
What a wonderful experience.
We had to move on and get back to our anchorage, but the dolphin swam with us easily for an hour. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and you're not seeing it here, but both Betty and Paul are learning to use a spear gun.
Ooh, wow. So we're going to be fishing with you.
I think it's called a Hawaiian sling.
Yep.
With the elastic.
Yes.
So it's a little bit tough for them because the rubber band is quite strong, but they're learning to do that, and Paul is looking forward to catching dinner for us when we get
that's lovely.
the appropriate.
I think we're all looking forward
How
to
many
that.
years do you think you'll be out here doing this?
Well, we've allowed ourselves up to 8 years until Betty graduates.
Right.
But we beyond that we have.
I don't know what's going to happen.
No, I know that there are people who spend their entire lives on boats. I don't see myself living on a boat forever. Mm-hmm. No, but I think that. I think I had a really unique childhood living in the Yukon. It wasn't so material, or people weren't into material things, and I feel like this is exactly what we wanted to give our children.
Yeah. Closer to nature, definitely.
Yeah.
A great experience. Anything you want to add? No? Okay.
I like going in the ocean. I like sitting on the seaside so I can see all the big waves.
Oh my God, folks, I have to interrupt the show for this new segment with Bob Bitchin, publisher of Cruising Outpost magazine and former publisher of Latitudes and Attitudes. Bob, can you tell me what's new in the sailing world today?
Hi, Tina. I think one of the best things that is going on right now in sailing and cruising is that there are more and more young people getting out there. It was getting a little freaky at boat shows, with everyone in attendance looking like the attack of the old people. Hell, there was more gray hair at the boat show than at an art meeting where they were giving away free Viagra. Fortunately, now we are seeing a lot more young people out there. About 60% of the stories and articles we're getting at Cruising Outpost magazine are from people under 40. That's a good thing.
Also, we've got some great boat shows coming up, and Cruising Outpost will be attending those boat shows. Bob, can you tell us about the schedule and what's going on?
Yeah, the boat shows, they are coming. The premier boat show, the one that kind of starts the season, is the Newport International Boat Show, held at America's Cup Center in Newport, Rhode Island, September 15th through 18th. This one kind of starts the show season. Jody and I have a booth there, and we are also sponsoring the Cruisers Party normally. But this year we can't, as a new group bought the America's Cup Center, and they wanted $5,000 just for the rental of the party area. We can't do that, as all of our party events are always free to the public, and it was just too cost prohibitive. From Newport, we head south to Annapolis, Maryland for the United States International Sailboat Show. This is the biggest all-sail show in the U.S. It runs from October 6th through October 10th, which is Columbus Day. This is a great show, with just about every marine manufacturer in the world displaying their wares. From there, we go to the St. Petersburg Boat Show, December 1st through 4th. That event we throw a Cruisers Party. This will be the 17th year we'll be sponsoring the Cruisers Party there, and we also sponsor the free seminars for cruisers.
Thank you, Bob, for joining us on CruiserTV. Don't forget, viewers, pick up your copy of Cruising Outpost magazine.
Thanks, Tina. It has been fun talking with you and your people. I look forward to doing this again.
And now, back to the show with our special guest, Cruising Moms.
Hi, this is Amy from SV Terrapin. My family and I have been sailing through Mexico for about the past 18 months. And I'd like to share with you a couple of experiences that help sailing with kids. Primarily sailing in Mexico, there's lots of boat kids. So what has helped our kids to adjust and make the transition a little easier is the fact that there's so many boat kids, particularly around the area in Banderas Bay. There's few options for boat kids as it comes to marinas like Paradise Village. There's also La Cruz. What's special about La Cruz is that they have a PR coordinator, Kat, who is really kid-centric. So they've got their own kids net, they've got various kids activities, spend the night, overnights, all kinds of different activities. So it really gets kid-centric and makes kids kind of feel at ease being boat kids, particularly if it happens to be their first season. Some of my recommendations for sailing with kids and trying to locate some of the other boat kid families would be to join various Facebook groups. Kids for Sail with the number 4 tends to be one of my favorites. A lot of moms get out there and say, hey, we're gonna be here, who's got kids to play with? Women Who Sail has always been a very popular one as well. and then various sites like Live Aboard and whatnot. So it's pretty easy to be able to locate with some other kid boats. And the special thing about kid boats is that they're always drawn to each other. It kind of seems like our kids have their little kid-centric radars on. So they always seem to kind of hone in and know, ooh, there's kids over there. There's never a dull moment when it comes to kids sailing and interacting with other kids while living on a boat. So we highly encourage it and recommend go for it. Take your kids out.
On the next episode of Now That's What I Call Sailing.
Emma, according to the chart plotter, we need to go 3 degrees port, east of Maine.
Aye, aye, Captain. Jessica, according to the wind meter, you need to trim the jib.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Grind, grind.
Can you believe it's already only been 1 week and we're this good at sailing?
I know, right? That's awesome. Where's Mom and Dad?
I don't know.
My name is Bean Gifford. I am Chief Mama on the Good Ship Totem. I've been living on Totem with my husband, Jamie, and our 3 children, Niall, Marin, and Siobhan, since 2008. When we first moved aboard, our kids were 4, 6, and 9. They just had their birthdays. We've now been living on board together for more than 8 years, which is hard to imagine. And in that time, we've managed to sail just about all the way around the world, other than this little land bit that we drove here in 2009. A few years ago, friends of mine got together, 2 friends. It started with an email from Michael, and he said, "Hey guys," me and my friend Sarah, "I think we should collaborate on this thing. I think we should write a book about how to take your family and go cruising." And Sarah and I both jumped on it. This is the book that we wish that we'd had when we were trying to figure out how to go. For my husband and I, it was about a 10-year run-up to the cruising life and 6 years of sort of hardcore planning. And we had some wonderful mentors during that time, but we really didn't have any role models for cruising families. And it was before the explosion of blogs as well. So the resources were pretty thin if you were a family and you had questions about, what do I do for homeschooling my kids? What do we do about routine medical care and annual checkups? And what happens if someone needs stitches? And how do they handle being at sea for 2 weeks straight? And all of those questions, they're answered amply for adults from all of these different perspectives, but there's really very little that's done for kids. Can you hand me the book now? So we collaborated to write Voyaging with Kids, and Voyaging with Kids was produced with Lynn Pardee. She's our publisher, L&L Pardee Books, and with her help, it's not just packed with awesome information. We worked with more than 60 families to get the experiences of a variety of ways to go cruising, but with a wonderful publisher who could make it into something that's really beautiful. It's full of sidebar stories from other families and just rich color photographs throughout that show slices of the cruising life from our family and from many other families. We hope that this book will, in turn, make it that much easier for other families to be able to take off and pursue their own cruising dreams.
Thank you for watching this episode of CruiserTV. Signing off, this is Teena Clipston. Fair winds and following seas.